Welcome to NFL Nexus. You know, it is truly wild how one single move, one coaching hire, can just send massive shockwaves through an entire division. And I'm not just talking about the usual X's and O's stuff. I mean for reasons that are deeply, deeply personal. The Atlanta Falcons went out and hired Kevin Stefanski as their new head coach, and in doing that, they didn't just get a new guy to lead the team, nope. They accidentally poured gasoline on a bitter public feud with Tampa Bay star quarterback Baker Mayfield. So today we're diving headfirst into this story. It's all about old grudges meeting new ambitions. We're going to unpack the history that created all this bad blood, break down the new blueprint Atlanta is trying to build, and figure out what this all means for the balance of power in the NFC South. This is way more than just football, people. This is about respect, it's about revenge, and it's about redemption. All right, let's get into it.
And boom, we start right here. This is the shot heard round the division. This is not your standard, media-trained, boring athlete speak. Oh no, this is a direct, public, and absolutely ice-cold message from Baker Mayfield posted for the entire world to see. You can just feel the history, the animosity, packed into those 10 simple words. That's not a friendly, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. It's a challenge. It's a straight-up warning. This one social media post immediately set the stage for what is, without a doubt, going to be one of the most personal and fascinating rivalries to watch next season. So, what was the move that got such a sharp, immediate reaction? And this is what lit the fuse. The Atlanta Falcons, trying to finally turn the corner, hired former Cleveland Browns coach Kevin Stefanski to be their new leader. Now, for most of the league, this is a pretty standard move, right? A respected offensive guy gets a second chance. But for Baker Mayfield, this is personal. In his mind, the man who he feels just threw him out, the coach who was in charge during his messy, unceremonious exit from Cleveland, is now setting up shop right across the divisional line. The coach he once had historic success with is now the enemy, standing on the opposite sideline twice a year, every single year.
So let's just be really clear about what we're looking at here. This is no longer just Falcons versus Buccaneers, a rivalry that already has a history of nail-biting games. No, this is now the Stefanski-Mayfield saga Part 2. We've officially gone from a standard divisional matchup to a deeply personal beef, where every single sack, every touchdown, every single outcome is going to be looked at through the lens of their broken history. This isn't just business anymore, it is personal.
And just so you understand how this went down, this wasn't some random comment Baker made in an interview weeks later. Nope, his message was immediate, it was targeted, it was completely deliberate. The very second the Falcons made that hire official and the news broke, he was on social media making his feelings known. There was no hesitation, no ambiguity. It was a calculated, public shot across the bow, making sure that the very first story of the Kevin Stefanski era in Atlanta was going to be about his old quarterback, now his divisional rival, just itching for a little payback.
Okay, but to really get why Baker is so fired up, to feel the bitterness behind those words, we have to rewind the clock. The root of this whole thing wasn't born in the NFC South, it was forged in the freezing cold of Cleveland, Ohio. Their shared and ultimately shattered past with the Browns is the absolute key to understanding why this is so much more than just another game. It's a complicated story of incredible highs followed by a really painful and, at least from Baker's point of view, a deeply disrespectful end. And you have to remember, this whole thing didn't start off sour. In fact, it started out like a fairy tale. In 2020, their very first season together, Stefanski and Mayfield looked like the perfect match. They seemed like the duo that was finally going to turn the long-suffering Browns franchise around. They won 11 games, which felt like a miracle in Cleveland. And they didn't just barely make the playoffs, they marched into Pittsburgh and absolutely dominated the rival Steelers in a playoff game. It was a historic, incredible moment for that entire city. At that point, they were the toast of the NFL, a perfect match seemingly destined for years of greatness together.
But as you can see, right here, that amazing high point disappeared fast. After the peak of that incredible 2020 season, things started to fall apart, with injuries and inconsistent play the next year. But the real earthquake hit in the 2022 offseason. The Browns front office made a massive, and let's be honest, highly controversial trade for Deshaun Watson, which basically spelled the end for Baker Mayfield. That summer, the former #1 pick was shipped off to Carolina for practically nothing. But the story doesn't end there. After a rough year, he found a new life in Tampa Bay, leading the Bucs to a division title and, in a beautiful bit of poetic justice, winning a playoff game, something he hadn't done since that magical run with Stefanski.
In this quote right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. This isn't just about the cold business of the NFL, of moving on to a different quarterback. For Baker, it was about how they did it, shipped off like garbage. Wow, that is some powerful raw language.
He's saying there was a total lack of communication, zero respect from the head coach he had just won a playoff game with. He felt completely discarded, not just replaced. And the fact he says he's still waiting on a call or a text tells you just how deep that wound still is today.
And here's the thing you have to understand. This isn't some washed-up quarterback just complaining. This is about a guy who got humbled, went through a professional nightmare, and came out on the other side stronger and more motivated than ever. I mean, look at this comeback. His time in Carolina was a total disaster. But then, the Rams claimed him, and just 2 days after basically learning the playbook on the flight to LA, he leads one of the most unbelievable game-winning drives you will ever see. That single moment showed the whole league the fire was still there. It led Tampa to take a cheap, one-year prove-it deal on him, and boy, did that bet pay off. He completely resurrected his career, took the Bucs to the playoffs, and earned himself a massive 3-year, $100 million contract. He's not just a starter anymore. He's a legit franchise QB with a giant chip on his shoulder. Okay, so while all this drama is playing out on social media, what's happening back in Atlanta? While the Falcons are quietly going about their business, they are not focused on Baker's tweets, they're focused on building a winning football team. They hired Kevin Stefanski to execute a vision, and they're already putting the first pieces of that plan into place, trying to build a tougher identity and a new culture down in Atlanta.
So what does building a staff look like? Well, first, of course, you've got Stefanski at the top. But look at his first big hire. The legendary Bill Callahan is the O-line coach. This is a huge reunion from their successful days in Cleveland. Callahan is considered one of the best in the entire league, and he's there to install that physical, run-heavy offense that Stefanski loves. Then, on the other side of the ball, they made the smart move to keep their defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, ensuring they have some much-needed stability over there.
So you can see the game plan here, right? It's pretty smart. You bring in a proven offensive system with a coach and his right-hand man who know it inside and out. Then you match that brand new offensive identity with the defense you already have, a unit that's shown promise and already has buy-in from the players. It's a calculated strategy. Build your offense from the ground up with great teachers, but keep the stability on defense. That's the blueprint for a winning culture.
All right, the coaches are in place. But now comes the really hard part. The focus now shifts from the sideline to the players on the field. The new leadership in Atlanta is staring down two massive, franchise-defining decisions that are going to shape this team for years to come, especially on the offensive side of the ball, which Stefanski was hired to fix.
And of course, it all starts with the biggest question of them all, the $100 million question, literally. Everything Stefanski and Callahan want to build on offense, it all comes down to this one single decision. Who is going to be the quarterback to lead this new-look Falcons team? It's the most critical choice a new coach has to make, and their options present a really fascinating problem.
And man, what a tough spot to be in. On one hand, you have the proven veteran, Kirk Cousins. He's seen it all. He's a steady, reliable guy who could be the perfect bridge quarterback to get this new era started. But then you have the rookie, Michael Penix Jr., the exciting, big-armed future of the franchise. The problem is, he's coming off a serious knee injury and might not be ready for Week 1. So it's the classic dilemma. Go with a reliable vet to get things started, or risk throwing your prized rookie into the fire before he's ready.
But hold on, the QB isn't the only headache for the front office. They also have to figure out what to do long-term with their superstar tight end, Kyle Pitts. This guy is one of the few real bright spots on that team, a true mismatch nightmare, and he's due for a massive new contract. For a team trying to rebuild, that's a huge financial decision to make.
And if you want to know just how important this guy is to their offense, let's just throw a number out there. 88. That's how many catches Kyle Pitts had last season. That is a career best for him, and that is truly elite production from the tight end position. On an offense that was struggling, he was the guy, the reliable go-to target. He's not just a guy with potential, he's a proven star right now. And it wasn't just short stuff either. He had over 900 receiving yards, another career high, proving he's a premier weapon. He is a matchup nightmare for defenses, too fast for linebackers, too big for defensive backs. Losing that kind of player is simply not an option for a new coach like Stefanski, especially since his system loves to feature the tight end. Keeping Pitts has to be priority number one. So what are they going to do? Well, the word on the street, according to insiders, is that the Falcons are likely going to use the franchise tag on him. Basically, that's a 1-year guaranteed contract that keeps him from hitting the open market. It's a really smart move here. It makes sure Pitts is on the team for next season, gives their new quarterback an elite weapon from day one, and it buys the new front office another year to work out a long-term deal. It's the safest path forward.
Okay, so let's bring it all back together. You've got Baker Mayfield on one side, the comeback kid, playing with a vengeance. On the other side, you have Kevin Stefanski, the methodical coach, carefully building a new contender in Atlanta. And now these two dramatic stories are on a collision course, set to slam into each other twice a year in the NFC South. This is a showdown where personal history and the future of two franchises are on the line every single time.
But get this, here's a little wrinkle in the story that makes it even better. For all of Baker's fire and motivation, the Falcons have actually had his number lately. Since he joined Tampa Bay, he's only 2-4 against Atlanta. And more importantly, last season, the Falcons swept him. They beat him both times they played. So this adds another layer to it. It's not just Baker wanting revenge on his old coach. He's got to find a way to beat a team that has consistently given him problems.
So what's the bottom line? Falcons-Buccaneers games were already good. They were already hard-fought, down-to-the-wire battles. But now you're adding a deeply personal, very public feud right into the middle of it all. It adds a whole new level of hatred and intrigue. Every tackle is going to feel a little harder, every stare down a little longer. This transforms a good rivalry into a great must-watch one.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question as we look ahead. What does this all mean for the NFC South? Is Baker's personal vendetta going to fuel the Bucs to stay on top of the division? Or is Stefanski's new, disciplined culture in Atlanta going to create a new power that finally gets the best of their bitter rival? The answer to that is probably going to define this division for the next few years.
In the end, it all comes back to this. One coaching hire has kicked off a crazy chain reaction, completely reshaping a team in Atlanta and pouring gasoline on a rivalry with its star quarterback. It's a perfect storm of history, personality, and high-stakes football. What did you think of the move? Who do you think comes out on top in this new rivalry? Let us know what you think down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thanks for watching NFL Nexus. Oh, and by the way, you can help support the channel by checking out our coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, and even adults. You can find them using the link in the description or the QR code on your screen. We'll see you next time.